Canoe EIT has announced a voluntary cash redemption. What exactly does that mean? And should you consider trading in your Canoe shares for some cold hard cash? Holy banana bread, let's do this! Canoe is of course a channel favorite, and as such, I need to make this video to bring you up to date with what's going on. We are going to look at their annual voluntary cash redemption, a possible special distribution, and their overall recession-proofing strategy. We have a lot of ground to paddle, so let's start with that voluntary redemption. Before we think about selling back shares, tell me in the comments if Canoe is one of your favorites. I am always grateful when you drop in on the home of free financial content on YouTube. While you are here, please subscribe as you don't want to miss a single moment, and a huge thank you for that click. Canoe has announced their annual voluntary cash redemption. This is set for December 9th, though we have a few other key dates we will get into in a moment. First off, what exactly is this cash redemption? With this cash redemption, Canoe will essentially allow you to trade in shares for a cash payout of 95% of the average net asset value, or NAV, of the 3 days preceding December 9th. The net asset value is basically their net assets minus their liabilities, all divided by their outstanding shares. This NAV is the expected or fair price for a share of that stock. In addition to only paying 95% of the 3-day average NAV, they will also deduct about 1% for direct costs of offering this redemption. They have placed an overall 10% cap on the number of shares they will buy back. Not a 10% on you, but they are not going to buy back more than 10% of their outstanding shares as of November 18th, which is also the last date you can indicate that you want to partake in this cash redemption. You may have already received notice from your broker of this redemption with a form for opting in. If you haven't received this opt-in and want to, well, then definitely contact your broker and they might be able to arrange something for you. Those who do opt in will receive their cash on January 4th or of course January 5th, depending on your broker. I know a lot of brokers, when they receive the cash, you don't receive it until the following day. Of course, in this process, you will still be the name on the shares up until December 9th for dividend purposes. That sounds fantastic, or does it? It is essentially a share buyback, and at 5% below the NAV, which is not bad if the share is trading significantly under the NAV in December, it could suck if they are trading close to or over their NAV. At the time of recording, their NAV is 13.74, and their share price is coming in at 13.53. So if this was the 3-day average on December 9th, you would then receive roughly $12.92 per share that you sell. That is a loss because you are losing those shares. I mean, in addition to this, a lot of times a share buyback can actually pump up the price a wee bit. So you may get more money selling your shares after the redemption, or maybe even before. In the past, with these annual redemptions that Canoe has done, their share price has pumped up more than it has pumped down. So that is a very good possibility. Another downside is that selling back shares will trigger a taxable event if you are holding your Canoe shares outside of a registered account. I think that would not be the case for many of you. I'm pretty sure most of you have them in your TFSA or your RRSP. What I think this redemption boils down to is, why do you hold Canoe in the first place? If it is for the dividends, it would be a strange move to sell those nice passive income producers for a quick hit of cash, especially at a loss. In most cases, taking this cash redemption is not going to make a lot of sense. I do want to be clear that this is not an unusual move for Canoe, as they do it every year. Thus, they do call it their annual voluntary cash redemption. It is not something to worry about, as the company is actually doing very well despite the bear market. In fact, as we head towards December, we may want to be on the lookout for another special distribution. Last year's special distribution was announced on December 22nd, so I would expect a similar announcement if they are going to repeat this again this year. So far though, in 2022, they are up by 2.81%, which is fantastic in a bear market, but may not be high enough for a special distribution. If they rise with the energy sector in the rest of the year, then the chances do increase quite a bit. Last year, they did a notional distribution as their special distribution, and that led to, well, it did lead to a bit of confusion. A notional distribution doesn't give you cash or extra dividends. Instead, it raises the average cost base of your shares. In a registered account, this is effectively nothing, as you do not have to worry about capital gains. In a non-registered account, this can be beneficial when you sell, as it will overall reduce your capital gain taxes or increase your capital losses. This can be very useful in regards to filing your taxes. Number-wise, we are still acting on June data, as Canoo only drops our numbers twice a year. I will, of course, be back in January doing a deep dive on the new numbers for sure, once we get them. We already know that Canoo is preparing for a recession, and they are rebalancing their fund to ensure they maintain their cash flow and that dividend many of us enjoy. They are picking stocks with an emphasis on most value and most opportunity. That results in their top 3 sectors being a 27% stake in energy, a 16% stake in healthcare, and a 13% stake in financials. They will continue to refine and shift as the market changes and a recession blooms and then, of course, eventually fizzles. This has been and continues to be a well-managed fund that is still my favorite stock overall. It is true that I did downsize in Canoo a little bit this year, but that's only because I was too diversified into them, and I kind of do miss those extra stocks, so that just shows you how much I love these guys. The fun does not have to end here. Check out my video on XEG that I will link on the left. Otherwise, check out that video on the right that YouTube thinks you will like. Your click will decide who is right, and I will see you in the next video.